Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of Daily Stand-Up. Without any further ado, let's get started. It's Friday, and you know what that means. Busy weekend ahead, right? It also means that we're going to talk about a topic that's Agile-related, but may not be Agile-specific. Today, I wanted to talk to you about the concept of Agile culture. We hear organizations say they'd like to embrace an Agile culture, they're trying to create an Agile environment, or they're trying to find a workspace that works well with all their people. But the question becomes, what exactly is an Agile culture? What does that mean? How does that work? So, by definition, an Agile culture is an environment that is underpinned by core values, behaviors, and practices, enabling all levels of an organization to better adapt to cultural, strategic, and other changes. That makes sense. In an Agile business culture, uncertainty can be handled more effectively by a team that is naturally more adaptive, flexible, and innovative. And that means that we have to implement different steps to get to an Agile culture. We have to have different elements. We have to have different underpinnings. We have to realize and recognize what exactly makes an organization agile, and we need to protect those things and support those things from the ground up. So here we go. The very first thing I think you need to address, or the very first thing I think you need to look for when you're trying to build a sustainable Agile culture, is support and protection of the Agile values from strong leadership who understand and support the team. So we need leadership that has a clear vision and strategy of what they're trying to do for the organization, why they chose Agile, and with that framework, what problem are they trying to solve, or what are they trying to make better? How is this going to impact their products or services? How is this going to impact their end consumer? They need to be able to support and protect all of the Agile values, and they need to understand the concepts of focus and openness and respect and commitment and encourage, and they need to support those throughout, and this support needs to come from the top down. No one should ever feel like they're doing Agile behind a curtain or under a rug. You need to feel like Agile comes from the top down, and it's something that's easy to support and it's easily sustainable. Second, we need to help teams and stakeholders self-organize. For quite some time, we've had teams that were formed by managers and rated by project managers and graded and worked as individuals, and we had more working groups than we did actual teams. I think the big key here is when we say help teams and stakeholders self-organize, sometimes people they might be a great work fit and they might be familiar with the subject matter of what they're trying to work on, but sometimes individuals just might not be a good cultural fit for a team. In past experiences when coaching, I had an opportunity where we could take an individual who maybe was not performing as well as expected and shift them to a different team. And what I can tell you is oftentimes when we just shift the individual from one team to another, we'd learn that the individual just wasn't a good culture fit for the first team, but they were a perfect fit for the second team and caused that team to make it to high performing. I think it's just important for the teams to self-organize in such a way that they have people with a similar cultural mindset that they can work with regularly. And I think it's good for stakeholders to organize and recognize that they're organizing the work and not the people. And if they get their head around organizing the work in such a way that the teams can swarm to it, things are going to flow a lot better and move a lot faster. Third, you have to manage your portfolio based on outcomes, not outputs. If I had a penny for every time I said outcome over output, I would be a multi-billionaire. We need to focus on what outcome we're trying to achieve with as little output as possible. We need to regain focus of our consumers' needs. We need to address concerns internally and externally. We need to eliminate dependencies. We need to do user observations and focus groups and see how our people are using products and services so that we can be better engaged and better focused on achieving a proper outcome. Next, we need to systematically remove sources of waste and delay that any Agile teams face. And it's not always easy because, once again, that requires buy-in from the top. So we need to make sure we identify not just the symptom, but the source of the waste and the source of the delay. And this causes us to learn how to do root cause analysis or a fishbone or however you try to do it. But we need to ask the 5 whys, and we need to get down to what is causing the waste or delay. And we need to make sure we're removing those things regularly. We need to systematically work towards removing those sources and making sure that we understand exactly what should be happening and pressing forward that way. Fifth, we need to make sure we measure and improve value delivered with frequent feedback. This is that whole empirical process. Inspect, adapt, be transparent, share things. And I think that if we're following the 5 core values of Scrum, if we're focused on a product or service that we're trying to deliver, if we're open and honest about questions, concerns, feedback, delays, delivery, any of those type of things, if we treat projects and people with dignity and respect, if we act on commitment and say, hey, we're going to do what we say and say what we do, and you don't have to fall back on us or ride us to get those answers, and we participate and encourage an environment where extreme courage is lauded and applauded instead of it being feared and retribution. We need to get to the point where we have our head around what courage means and how we're going to approach it, and make sure we push to everyone if this is a good thing, and that's something that we should be embracing and that we should be following. Once you have those 5 points in place, it becomes kind of easy for you to establish your internal Agile Centre of Excellence. This is where people within the organization, especially coaches, will volunteer their time to build that agile, your own version of, and I don't want to destroy it here, but an agile manifesto internally, or something that you're going to do, an agile playbook that's going to allow you to really get your head around how your company is embracing agile, what terminology you're using, how people who are onboarding can say, hey, I get it and I understand and I know exactly what I need to do. And I think that if you can pull these pieces together, that's going to help you be better on the road to being able to build that agile culture. You know, it's not always easy because it begins with you. And I think that that's the reason why there's an I in Agile, that the I in Agile represents that you do make a difference, that I can make a difference, that I can cause change, that I can embrace change, that I can help others, that I can act with courage, that I can work in an environment of psychological safety. And I think that once you get all those things down, that's going to help you, whether it's at home or whether it's at work. I believe that you can apply all these principles within your family, because strong leadership from a good father or mother, helping each family member self-organize and get their things together and have clear goals, managing your portfolio of what you're trying to do and focusing on having wonderful opportunities and fun outcomes with your family instead of just how much money you make. Build memories, systematically remove sources of distrust or delay or waste, and measure and improve and frequently give feedback to each other about ways that we can improve. And I think that, if you realize that this applies to more than just business agility, it makes a whole lot more sense and it helps you to be a successful person. I hope you have an amazing weekend. It's been a great week, and I look forward to meeting with you again on Monday. Until next time, I encourage you to stay well, stay healthy, and stay agile, my friends. Do take care.